Soon or late, young or old, potential untapped or every goal attained. It matters not. All must die. And then what? What remains? Well, if I'm the cause of your demise, not much. A pile of dust, perhaps, after I've breathed on you. It seems ironic somehow to be talking like this on such a beautiful day. The sun warming the skin, the cries of seagulls, and the sound of waves smashing into the rocks far below. No! Ugh, I got splashed. Worst day ever. I'm going inside.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Teachers in the Dungeon. I'm Tom Gross.
I'm Topaz Dan.
Curmudgeonly Topaz Dan, for sure. You're describing such a beautiful setting and... So yes, the Topaz Dragon is our topic of the day today.
Yes.
And
happy November.
Happy November.
So
yes.
The connection is...
the Topaz Gem.
Yes.
Is the birthstone of November. And so it's so fitting, as I was reading about the Topaz Dragon, I thought, no wonder why I'm the way I am. I'm a November birthday, and I'm like a Topaz Dragon. The older I get, the curmudgeonly and grouchy I get. Did you know that last night for Halloween, I left my car in another parking lot, thus I didn't have a car in the driveway for people to think we're home. I took the doorbell off of the front of the house, and we turned all the lights out. I'm sorry, you guys. I am just a grouch when it comes to people knocking on my door. It didn't used to be that way, but my Topaz Dragon within me has caused me to become that way.
I, on the other hand, I don't know if it's the first time I met you, but one of the first times we interacted was you bringing your kids to our door for Halloween.
Yes, and Swamp Thing was in your front yard.
Yes, my son was in a ghillie suit, my daughter was a witch, and I was a zombie. So, and we were outside with a table welcoming people, so slightly different view of Halloween and trick-or-treating.
You guys were always so good about that, and I tell you, I'm not. I don't know why. I wish. I wish. I opened the door to, my daughter went trick-or-treating with some friends, and they opened the door. They wanted me to come see their costumes. And just the happy sound of children on the street, just like fingernails on a chalkboard, which I realize is a what is that, a Gen X comment? They don't have chalkboards anymore, so someone may not know that illusion. But anyway, the happiness, go inside, everybody. Get out of here.
Which fits our topic of the day.
Well.
Because you had kind of put together why Topaz.
Yes.
With the fall and...
Oh, right. Yeah. Because the Topaz Dragon, one of the beliefs of it is death should just take its course. And if it has a chance to help that out, it does. And so the Topaz Gem being in the fall, it just feels like it's symbolic, because fall is when the leaves turn from green to brown and they fall to the ground, they disintegrate into the earth. Mm-hmm. And not just leaves, but just sort of the whole world feels that way, at least in the northern hemisphere, when when the sun's tilting away. Dan said that. But so it felt natural that the Topaz Dragon's beliefs and philosophies of life really fit sort of that fall feel.
Yeah, I like that connection that you made. That didn't even occur to me, but I think that is, I would bet the folks that created this stuff are pretty astute, and I imagine they left that there as an Easter egg for people to find, because it's not. I mean, they don't make that connection for you.
No, they don't.
But I think that's pretty cool.
For once, I found an Easter egg. Doesn't happen often.
So, as usual, we go through lore and behavior, their lair, their stats and abilities, famous dragons, and then how we would role play them and use them in a campaign.
Yes.
And although those categories appear quite distinct, and in my brain they blend hopelessly together. So we're just going to kind of go through and do the best we can.
That's right. It's a guide that likes to take big steps.
Yes. So the lore that we always try to find a quote. So the one that I found that was, I thought, pretty cool was, decay and despair are bound up in the nature of Topaz Dragons, thanks to the necrotic energy of the negative plane that suffuses them.
And that's the show.
Yes.
There's not much else to say about a Topaz Dragon, but no, there actually is more to say about it. But that is the essence. Mm-hmm. They nailed it in, is it 1 or 2 sentences? I think it's 2.
It is 1 sentence with some dependent clauses. So.
Yes. Okay. I was thinking there might have been a semicolon in there. But yes, I mean, that really is the essence of what a Topaz Dragon is like, and what drives them.
So so they believe that destruction is a natural and necessary means of clearing the way for new creation. They'll probably be quite antagonistic toward any creature they view as diseased or dying. Mm-hmm. So they're nature's broom.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good. I like that. I'm saving that one for a book sometime.
So they are chaotic neutral. And this is, we'll get into a little bit more why this is. On the surface, it appears pretty random, but we've, I think, sorted out the reason for this. They are very selfish and unfriendly. They're unsociable. They're erratic. They're morbid and curmudgeonly, but not actually malevolent.
Correct. So save that for the Black Dragon?
Yes. So we were saying that I appreciate a lot of the lore that went into this, because it would be easy to just color with the fat crayons and say metallic dragon's good, chromatic dragon's bad, and gem dragon's neutral. But there is a wide range. There's a ton of shading. A copper dragon is really not good compared to a bronze dragon, as far as if you're a person in need of help or assistance or just kindliness. No, there's a big difference. And it's a lot easier to deal with and come to accommodation with a blue dragon than it would be a black dragon or a white dragon.
I'm going to pitch one of our past shows right here. When you're talking about alignment, we did a show we chose alignments, and we kind of gave characteristics and things like that. And one thing that came out of that for me was that there is no certainty when it comes to alignment. Mm-hmm. Even the most lawful good of lawful good can do something that has a gray edge to it. Even a red dragon might do a good thing if it serves its evil. And I really like that, because as a DM, we don't place these creatures into boxes. Mm-hmm. And we can really mess with the players, because they have those boxes in their minds that Black Dragon is always this, and our Gold Dragon is always this. And so we can play with some gray area in that alignment, as the players can too. If you're playing a Captain America character, you could do something where the rest of the party goes, "Are you sure?" It's got to be done. So anyway, that just popped into my head where you're talking about that, and I just think it's a valuable statement about role play for the game and really anything, but it's true in a lot of different areas too. That even people you think are good, they might do something that would shock you and surprise you, but there's probably motivation behind it, or motive behind it.
So Topaz is in the neutral spectrum, but it's definitely on the edge, the least pleasant aspect of neutral. They are, as I said, they're crabby, they're unsociable, they're not predictable, they have no problem lashing out and attacking if they feel like it. Mm-hmm. They're not motivated by that the way that they don't necessarily enjoy inflicting pain or hardship the way that an evil creature would, but the result's the same. So the motive matters, but the effect is going to be the same. They're not good parents, completely disinterested, and
it's just remarkable that the Topaz line, generational line, continues.
Yes,
because they will abandon their children if there's danger.
Yep. Leave her. She's not quick enough.
Interesting.
So the only other things really for lore and behavior there's a couple of things. One of the things that we've we've brushed up against, I think, but we'll really hit on is that they have. Well, actually, there's a few things now I think about it. They don't like to fight.
Right.
They'll lash out if they're angry, but generally they're just going to try to get away from people,
right,
and make them not want to come see them. If they are in a fight, they have no problem pretending to surrender or running away, doing whatever it takes to survive. There's not a lot of nobility in them.
No. And really the only creature that they will initiate a fight with is that bronze dragon that we talked about.
And we said that was really kind of a strange thing, because how can you hate a bronze dragon unless you're like truly evil? Because and all of a sudden, as we're talking, I'm thinking, I wonder if it's just a resentment that the bronze is kind of everything the topaz is not.
Oh, that hurts, Dan. No wonder why they're bitter.
Kind of self-assured, generous, uncomplicated,
helpful. The bronze dragon is the one that helps the old lady across the street. The topaz dragon is the one that kicks her into the traffic,
or is driving the car.
Yes.
But I don't want to hit you, but I will.
Yes. But I think that's why that's the reason for the hatred, and to go uncharacteristically out of its way to fight a bronze dragon. The bronze dragon is one to embrace life and make life last as long as it possibly can. The topaz dragon, come on, hurry it up. Let's put an end to this. It's the natural cycle. Let's do it. And so they're sort of on the other ends of the spectrum from each other. And so one just wants it to happen fast.
And on a surface level, they do compete for the same territory. So that would be part of it as well.
Yeah.
So, and that territory kind of leads us to the last little bit of lore that also kind of takes us into habitat, is they like living on like rocky sea coasts.
Yes.
Where they can sunbathe and eat seafood, which is their diet, and they hate water.
They hate water.
And they originate in the plane of water.
Yeah.
And they hate water.
So this is such a weird thing. It's like, how does this work? Because they love the dry, the death, and water is symbolic of life. And all that. And so it's like, how does this all come about? And the only thing I can think is, and this is where you get into, like, is the topaz dragon a philosophical creature? Does it in some strange way love to just like watching water dry up and die? And so it lives, one of the layers, a layer that's possible for a topaz dragon is an underwater cave. And you can only think that it must just absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
Except that it would constantly attempt to dry it up and dry it up and dry it up constantly. And is it that process
keeps coming back?
Yes, exactly. And it makes it mad, but then there's some sort of weird satisfaction of watching the water dry up and, quote, die. And so I don't know. I mean, and yeah, I can't make an explanation beyond that. And ironically, it's sustenance is water based.
That's the only,
like squid and sharks and things like that.
That's the only thing I could think is that is what it is. That's what it eats, and it resents every minute of it.
I mean,
which would explain its bitterness.
Yeah, I mean, if it could learn to like the Roadrunner and coyotes and sand, whatever those little birds are that run in this, then it could live in a desert and be happy as it can be. It doesn't have to do any work at all. It's always dry. It's always dusty. It needs to change its taste palette.
Well, maybe it is one of those things where you can't. It's what it digests.
Yeah. Poor guy. Or, it just loves it. I can only think that it just loves it because it satisfies its need for that cycle, that death cycle.
Or loves being miserable.
Well, then I would think you'd want to hang around people because misery loves company.
So let's go ahead and talk about. So the lair. There's not too much else to say other than the horde. You found some stuff about what they like to collect.
Yeah, which I also find fascinating, and we'll talk later about ways you might use this to drive a campaign. But in its horde, you will find things that have information about destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think too much about it until it just popped in my mind. So I wonder if it likes history books about war.
Oh.
And genocide and like weird things like that.
Yeah.
Plagues. Plagues, things like that. And then magic that creates things from nothing.
Mm.
I mean, this is where you go back to, does the Topaz Dragon just like to sit around and watch this happen? And just sit and think about it. And like you had mentioned that some scroll, like it might be create water scrolls or create undead or stuff like that. And it just is constantly casting these, or it keeps a horde of these magic items that it just does it over and over again and just is constantly watching this. It likes things that animate dead, likes things that destroy matter, things that manipulate negative energy. So when you go to a Topaz Dragon's lair, these are the types of magic items you're looking for, or that you would find.
So that's, the fascination with the undead is a little quirk that you would think they would hate undead, but it doesn't say they like them. They're just fascinated by them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. I like watching a spider, although I hate spiders.
It's morbidly fascinating. I would agree. If I can get over the EBGBs of looking at it, it is fascinating to watch one make a web or walk up a wall. I mean, it's
brutally murder an insect and suck all the juices out.
Okay. Do you have an aquarium I don't know about? Because if there's a big old spider that you've been watching that's in this house, I'm out. No, I that makes a lot of sense. Because they're not a lot of creatures that might be something they like would have those in their lair for protection.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing said about a Topaz dragon having undead in its lair or even region to protect it.
It doesn't, but they might have missed an opportunity there. If you're really unsocial, what better than of a servant than a zombie who can't talk?
Yeah.
Or even wants to, but just shuffles around and does what you tell it to.
Yeah.
That would be kind of useful.
I mean, all they say is brains, brains. Shut up.
All right. So as far as, I think we're already going to stats and abilities.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not, as far as dragons go, it's not a very powerful one. Mm-hmm. It is on the weaker end. It's just above crystal dragons, on par with brass dragons.
Okay.
And then it would be also then roughly equivalent to, I think, black is the one that's just up from the bottom. It is amphibious, as we mentioned, which is probably a source of consternation to it most days. Immune to cold damage. And it's got you did some more research on kind of the special, like the legendary and the lair actions they have. Because other than that, it's pretty typical. Their breath is in a cone rather than a straight line like the blue dragon and some of the others that we looked at.
And it's a
dehydration
breath weapon.
But it does necrotic damage. So the dehydration is kind of for flavor.
Yes, and that weapon it dries you out, it weakens you, but I think you said that if it takes you to 0...
Well, that's...
Or is that something else?
That's a legendary action that's connected to it, so I might as well mention it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The essential reduction. Make a con save or it turns you into essentially a Kool-Aid packet.
Man.
You're just dust.
There aren't a whole lot of creatures that can just do an absolute death.
Yeah.
And that's one of them.
It does make it intriguing. It's not especially powerful as far as dragons go, but it does have that up its sleeve that makes it a little more dangerous
for sure. So the lair actions, we've seen a lot of these in other dragons. There's a beguiling whisper where it can charm one. that's in the party probably will use that one to try to distract or get the party to leave, would be my guess. And one that's kind of cool is if it senses an active spell within its lair, it can cancel that. And the lair action is called cancellation.
Yeah.
So if there's some sort of a protection spell that it's sensing, or even a detecting a scry or something like that, it can just cancel that. That's kind of cool. And the other lair action that's listed in Fizzbands is negative energy infusion. So it can use that lair action to damage 2 creatures with necrotic damage, but then the energy of that remains until the end of its next turn, and it does not allow anything to heal itself during that time. So that's kind of a powerful, that's a game changer, really, especially when we talk about that breath weapon that can eliminate an opponent, kill it for good. That if it's using that energy infusion and you can't heal yourself, you got to run.
How angry your table would be, in the middle of this fight, and the fighter, whoever, goes down, and the cleric's like, "No worry, I got you," and you just say, as the DM, "Nothing happens."
Oh gosh, and there won't be too many players that know about this dragon, because quite honestly, when I sat down to read this, I was like, I've never read about this dragon. Never. I mean, since 1980, you'd think I'd have come across one by now, but I haven't. And really, for the gem dragons as well, I mean, I don't know that I've ever really come across a gem dragon unless you've thrown one at us. I don't remember.
No, I haven't done yet.
But this would be something. I heard that. But this would be talk about surprising your group and making them really mad at you. But you know what? That's the game.
Yeah.
That's the game. And so you might be able to drop some hints if there's some NPCs that are directing you this way, or you encounter some NPCs and they might give you a bit of information that you'd have to put A and B together to be like, okay, there's a serious danger in this mission. But I think that is what makes them tough in their lair. Outside of their lair, I agree. They're not super difficult, and they will try to get away from you if you start damaging them.
Yes.
But inside their lair, they don't mess around.
No.
Within the region, the one thing that there's several things, but the one that really was kind of amusing to me, but at the same time, is it attracts within bodies of water of its region. Giant squid are attracted, and so basically its food comes to it, which is it's amusing, but at the same time, okay, I get it.
Well, I mean that gives flavor. That'd be an interesting thing.
Yeah, and it makes sense so that it doesn't have to spend a lot of time in the water. It can just do its dive, probably easy catch, and get out.
That's true.
Dry off.
That makes a lot of sense. So, the only other things, I think we caught it all. The breath weapon can cause an enemy to fall into a coma and die if it's powerful enough.
Yeah.
So, kind of a glass cannon type of a thing, where you don't have to worry. You can knock them down compared to other dragons pretty easy, but they can do some stuff if they make the right dice throw, or you make a bad dice throw.
Yeah.
Damage is way worse than some others.
Right.
So how would we use them as a campaign? We kind of already talked about this, kind of hinted at it, but I could see it as an avoidable obstacle that you come across a dragon that just screams at you, "Leave me alone." Maybe you really should just leave it alone, rather than just assuming, if it's here, the DM wants us to go. If you want to add a little bit of uncertainty, unpredictability. I think it would be a chance to practice some social encounter skills, deception, persuasion. You can talk to them if you can figure out what interests them. They would allow you to approach, and you could work with them. You just have to figure out what they want. They're absolutely disinterested. You're never going to appeal to a sense of justice or morality. You have to figure out hate bronze dragons. Maybe that's something you can leverage.
Yeah.
They hate disease, and sickliness. Maybe that's something
that's an appeal. Sure.
You can sort of leverage as well. And I was thinking it was, as we were talking through, a topaz reminds me a little bit of Thanos. In that,
yes.
It's just part of life to get rid of the weak and sickly. Mm-hmm. So it would be an enemy that maybe you would have to defeat and kill, but it would be a little bit of a moral gray zone,
right,
where maybe this enemy says, I'm shortening suffering. You really want these sick people to just go on and on?
Yes.
Why not? So if you have to be careful, you have to know your table.
Right.
I wouldn't do this with a bunch of strangers.
No.
But if you've got a table that enjoys wrestling with moral dilemmas,
yep,
philosophical questions, then a topaz dragon could be really, really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of role play that could come from this. Mm-hmm. And they mentioned in one of the, I don't know if it was which source it came from, but it said that they would almost prefer that discourse if they have to encounter other creatures. They would almost prefer the discourse than the fight.
Yes.
And so you could pretty easily engage in conversation with them. And I'm that kind of player that would like that role play of the moral dilemma, and trying to find like a middle ground where we can appease the dragon, but we can also save people. Mm-hmm. And maybe you get into you get into the middle of this conflict between a bronze dragon and a topaz dragon, and you're trying to like settle this whole thing down, and there's something there. The other thing I thought of was it's an amusing interaction, or you could create this as an amusing interaction with your players, but there's really serious danger to this, is the topaz dragon, like many dragons, if not all, can shape into a humanoid. And so they might encounter this individual who just is an unpleasant, low charisma type of character that has just really awful skin. And the skin is dry to the point of you're almost disgusted by it.
Scaly.
But you could have some fun with your players, talking, laughing about it and they're making jokes about lotion and this kind of thing. But it's a topaz dragon who is wanting you to either antagonize a bronze dragon, distract a bronze dragon, or that topaz dragon wants you, it's out of its fun spells of creating things out of nothing, and it wants you to go get some of those. But what really makes it sweet is that it's in the horde of a bronze dragon. And so it's convincing you to go rob the horde of a bronze dragon just for that bitterness, but it also is bringing something intriguing to that topaz dragon.
So if you've got a party like our Ravnica group, that would be the perfect adventure for them.
Totally. They'd be all about that. All about that. And they would make comments about the dry skin, and they would think it's hilarious until somewhere the topaz dragon reveals itself, and then who knows what happens there. If you failed to get it, things could go poorly, I suppose. One
goofy thing that occurred to me as we were talking is it would be, if you could do some misdirection. If your party thinks that it's been sent to wipe out a nest of vampires.
Yes.
And so, midst of the fight, trying to do that, and all of a sudden, a topaz dragon comes in and is just enraged because he was protecting them. Yeah. Not because he likes them, but he's just fascinated by undead just and how they behave.
Yeah.
So that could be kind of a fun twist.
Yeah. I mean, we don't usually play enough to be able to do something like this, but I know there are people who like to, during the holiday season, have some sort of a holiday theme game or a horror game in October or something like that. But a topaz dragon would definitely be a cool character or NPC or foe to bring in the months of October, November.
Mm-hmm.
Just to thematically bring in this idea of death and destruction and the natural cycle of that. And, you have that fun little connection to what's actually happening in your own world. And, so you could go that route as far as using it at a certain time. But when you play once a month,
no,
you ain't got time for that.
Nope.
So a fascinating creature, though.
Mm-hmm.
And one that if we hadn't have done this, I never would have thought of looking at the Topaz Dragon.
And even when I look at him, sometimes I think there's not much there. But then when we talk and start generating ideas, I think, no, wait, there's some pretty interesting stuff to mine here that would be
when it comes
fun to add.
Yeah, when it comes to looking at monsters, I'm a stats looker.
Mm-hmm.
I hardly look. It's not hardly, but that's what draws me into exploring more.
Yeah.
And so if it's like, this is a mid dragon, I'll pass. I'll turn the page. I did notice though in Fizzbands, it is the very last dragon in the book.
Yes, I did see that too. I'm turning the page. That's it?
Is 220 in here? What the heck? Where? And it is the last dragon. So there's no Z's or X's or Y's in the dragon lore. Someone will make one now.
Yes.
So any final thoughts on the Topaz, or we're good to go?
No, I think it does fill a useful role of the unpredictable, the morally gray. Yes. And you say that, or I say that, and I think it saying those terms just by themselves, I just tune out. Been there, done that, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think as little lore as is there, it is intriguing enough to give you some pretty fun hooks to build on.
Yeah, I would agree. It was a fun read to learn about them. Fun to talk to you about them. And if you've used a Topaz Dragon at home, let us know how that went. Did you play off of those moral issues? Did you kill a character? Did you dry them to death in powder? Be curious to hear about that. Drop us a note, teachersinthedungeon@gmail.com, and tell us about your games or any of the other dragons we've talked about throughout the year. We're also getting to that time of the year where we're starting to look at a new year. Mm-hmm. And our Dungeons and Dragons conversation, and I don't mean the game, we've been talking about dungeons this year, we've been talking about dragons this year. We're looking for a new theme for 2026.
Yeah.
Wow. That is crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, we're looking for a new topic for next year. If you have any ideas or something that you would like us to explore, either in the lore of the game or a different kind of creature for 2026, or a book, one of the rule books. You want us to just do deep dives into a Dungeon Master's Guide or something like that, let us know. We would love to entertain your ideas and anything else that comes up in your games. Or if you are a game club host at your school or your YMCA or someplace like that, reach out to us. We'd love to hear your stories, possibly have you on air to talk about your experiences in running games for kids or even adults. It's all part of that community that we talk about. So for Dan, I am Tom, and we'll talk to you next week right here in Teachers in the Dungeon. Keep rolling those 20s.